objective of corporates is to make money for shareholders. We didn't even hear the word stakeholders. It's primarily shareholders. So your primary responsibility is to make money for them, and everything else is not secondary, but tertiary and quaternary. And so when that is the case, the world, in a sense, developed very fast, but very soon the social problems begin to surface. And so, as is human affairs that always go in cycles, the society became a little warped, the wealth differential became too big, and hence a lot of people begin to rethink the function of a corporate. Can you walk us through that process and tell us what is your view about the Milton Friedman conception of a corporation and how it developed, and is it moving in the right direction? Can we go too far? Where do we stop, and where can we improve ourselves? Floor is yours, Joe.
Thanks, Ronnie. I'm very honored to be on the same stage with you again. In recent months, we've been together several times, and very honored to be here at AFF. You raise a very good question, and it's a question that bears a little bit of thought. So Milton Friedman, as we all know, is coming from the classical Chicago School of Economics, and he's really talked what he said. Really, what it led to was maximizing profits for shareholders. But this is the basic principle of capitalism, which means that the capital providers are the ultimate beneficiaries of corporations, and the corporations, part of management of corporations and all the people that work for corporations are supposed to benefit the shareholders because they are the capital providers, right? But as we all know, a company touches on people that are beyond just the shareholders. There are employees, there are suppliers, there are customers, there are regulators, and so many stakeholders that are involved in a corporate entity. And the question, I think, Ronnie, you pose is, if we forget about all the other stakeholders, there's the extreme form of capitalism creates a lot of results that are undesirable for society as a whole. Even though shareholders may be happy making money, your stock price may be going up, but there's going to be a lot of unhappy people as the corporate touches a lot of other constituencies. So what do? I'm not going to pretend to teach people how to run their companies, but I can talk a little bit about what Alibaba does. In Alibaba, we've always said customer first. So why do we even exist? We're here to serve our customers. And what's underlying that is we have identified certain problems. Problems can be a very small sort of product-related problem or larger societal problems. And the problem we have identified is that small businesses have not been getting support like big businesses do with all the capital resources and the marketing resources and all of that. So the founding of Alibaba was to create a marketplace using the internet to help small businesses, to level the playing field between small companies and large companies. And for us, we say customers always come first. And as we serve our customers, which in the Alibaba context, we're in the e-commerce business, are both the consumers, but also the businesses that are trying to make a living on our platform. So customer first. And then we say, in order to make customers happy, who are the next constituency that's important to us? It's the employees, really, not the shareholders. The employees are the ones that actually work very hard to make sure that our customers are satisfied, that they are delivering either the products or services that the customers want and need. So we say employee comes after that. And then we say, when it comes to shareholders, the natural result is that shareholders benefit if customers are happy and employees are satisfied, fulfilled, and are happy to work toward the goal of making the customers happy. So customers first, employees second, and then shareholders come naturally third. Not in terms of priority, but it's the natural logical result of making sure your customers and employees are taken care of.
Very good. Thank you. Let me go to the next logical follow-up. So corporates have a lot of resources, and management control those resources, be it money, finances, as well as manpower through the employee, or with money you can do a lot of things. As we all know, without money, it's pretty tough. But with money, you can do a lot of good things or bad things. Assuming that all the corporates like Alibaba are doing the right thing, the good thing, how far do you think corporates should go? What area should corporates venture into? And then corporates are usually more efficient than the government. Everywhere in the world, almost any form of government. So how does corporates or private sector, especially companies, use their resources of whatever sort to do good to society, and what is the limit for that?
Well, I just think that every company is different because they're run by different people. So the ability and the capacity of management determines how far or how wide or how deep one can go, right? And as an internet platform business, we actually touch upon a lot of people, a lot of hundreds of millions of consumers.
How many people use Alibaba?
On an annual basis, somewhere around 700 to 800 million people have shopped, have bought something on one of Alibaba's platforms.
How many times?
Actually, I'd say, I correct myself, if you include globally, it's over 1 billion people globally that have shopped on Alibaba's platform.
How many times the world over?
How many times? I mean, you know, our most frequent shoppers shop like, 10 times a day.
Okay, keep going.
So
Sorry.
Anyway, so the how far question from the perspective of an internet platform business, we can actually do quite a bit. But having said that, on the other hand, it is also the role of management to keep the company focused. The company has to focus on what we're good at so that we can be efficient. You talk about efficiency. I think what happens when companies get very unfocused, have too many lines of business, is the decision makers cannot focus, and then the efficiency aspect breaks down. So I'm not going to prescribe how far or how much, but I think it really depends on the format of your business and your business model.
Do you think that there is a danger that corporates can lose focus, as you mentioned, by devoting too much time and effort and management time to so-called doing social good?
No, I don't think so. I think social good or good for society or doing good, however you call it, should be part of your business model. So Alibaba's mission since 25 years ago, since day one, was and still is to make it easy to do business anywhere. So that statement has already baked in the social mission that we want to help small businesses, make it easy for them to do business everywhere. And that was the original vision that Jack has set out to do. And today we're still doing it because there's literally tens of millions of small businesses that are doing business on Taobao, that are selling things from the big cities to the rural areas, from the villages. The internet has enabled them to make a living, a profitable living, so that they can better themselves.
In other words, it's much better to embed into your business the doing good aspect of it, rather than I do this, I do A for my profit-making money, and then I do B just to help the people.
It's very difficult when you have, if you think of it as two lines of business, I have the profit-making and then I have the social responsibility. It doesn't quite work. And a lot of companies struggle with it. because their core business model does not bake into a mission of helping society. Now, we didn't start with a very altruistic goal. The starting point was identifying a social issue, an issue that is very wide, very broad-ranged type of issue, a societal type of issue, and then trying to find a problem, trying to find the solution to solve the problem. So
let me say this. This session is a little unusual. First of all, the two of us will have a dialogue, and then later I will invite the CEO of the Center for Asia Philanthropic Society, CAPS, to join us, Dr. Ruth Shapiro, to moderate the second half, and we'll be joined by two very, very important leaders in business. One is Nirvana Chowdhury, who is from the Chowdhury Group in Nepal. For those who don't know anything about Nepal, basically it is the Chowdhury Group that is doing both the money making as well as a lot of the social good from the private sector. And then we have a wonderful, wonderful lady, Katia from the Kotsekon Bank, the K Bank, if you will, from Thailand, joining us on stage to tell us their side of the thing. So let me finally ask you one or two other questions, Joe. What do you think is the role of a leader of a corporate in fulfilling not just the money-making aspect of the business, but also the social good side of the business? Should it be decided by the leader? Should it be decided by the board? Should it be decided by the employee? How much can they have a say? Of course, I understand all companies differs. Your company has a very dynamic leader, Jack Ma, to start with, but he's no longer that active in the company. Who make those decisions? Who do you think in a normal organization, what are some of the models that you think work best?
The leader of an enterprise or an organization is to ensure continuity. What do I mean by that? When you chart out a mission and a long-term vision, let's say 30-year vision, to help society or to benefit customers or whatever, if the management changes, then that original mission may waver. This is why we have problems with these democratic systems where leadership changes every 4 or 5 years, right? The new administration comes in, then there's deregulation, and then another administration comes in, then there's more regulation, higher taxes, lower tax. The pendulum swings back and forth. I think in the case of a corporation, senior leadership needs to ensure that there's continuity of mission. And what does that mean when it comes to actual actions? The most important thing is to bring in people, bring in your second generation, third generation of leadership to cultivate them so that they can continue your mission, right? So I think the most important characteristic of a leader in a corporation is the ability to be able to hire people that are better than you are. Otherwise, you become the limitation of the organization. Right. If you cannot accommodate people that are better and smarter than you are, you become the bottleneck for the company to grow. And to ensure continuity, you definitely need to bring in smarter and better people into the organization.
I'm going to take advantage of your presence here and ask you a question slightly different, because I think many in the audience are concerned with this question before I invite Dr. Ruth Shapiro and our two panelists to join. And that is, Joe, although you are not as old as I am, you are not a young chicken either. We are all, well over 60. And I have never seen the world as troubled as it is today in multiple dimensions, politically, economically, sustainability-wise, migration problem, this problem, that problem, too many to name. How do you, as a business leader, survive and ensure the continuity of your company in the longer run? If not, your shareholders will lose money, and your employees will lose the jobs, and you will no longer be able to serve any social function. So, how do you, as a corporate leader, maneuver in this environment to keep yourself and your company alive?
It's very hard. I mean, in fact, Ronnie, you're like my mentor, so I have a lot of offline. I want to ask you about how to manage these risks. I mean, everybody knows Alibaba is a company that's founded in China. We try to do business mainly in China, but we're also trying to expand globally. So what we face is the geopolitical landscape right now. We're in my lifetime, this is, I could say definitively, the most unfriendly geopolitical environment that we've been in. So how do we navigate? I think there are elements that we can't control. We can't control government leaders. We can't control people that
like Donald Trump
make much higher level decisions, right? Leadership of every government, every country, we cannot control that. We cannot do anything about that. But what we can do is to identify the risks and try to protect the company and distinguish our company from those that will remain vulnerable. I'll give you an example. In the context of a potential trade war, why is there a trade war? Because the Americans think that Chinese exporters and manufacturers are too strong. They're selling too many things. I mean, the latest headline is China just has the largest ever export surplus, ahead of the Trump tariffs, maybe in anticipation of that.
Something like $200 billion US.
I think it's bigger than that. I think exports have reached. I saw the T word, the trillion number, maybe in the recent months.
Total trade, yeah.
But in this context, as a Chinese company, if we want to do business in the United States, we're going to get hit by whatever it may be, tariffs, whatever. But the question as a leadership in the company is how do we distinguish ourselves from maybe others that could be viewed as just of the same ilk? In Alibaba's case, I want to remind the American government that the Alibaba platform, we're selling to Chinese consumers, right? We sell about $50 billion US of American products to Chinese consumers annually.
50 billion.
Yeah, so we're actually helping to alleviate the trade deficit problem of the United States, and these are some of the messaging that you need to basically communicate that to the people that can influence potentially the fate of your organization. I think these are some of the things that senior leadership needs to do. Obviously, you need to actually have a business that actually is helpful in the conversation, but then also help to communicate that to the right people.
Thank you. Dr. Ruth Shapiro, while you and the other two panelists join us on stage, let me ask Joe a question about Alibaba. Are you in Turkey?
Yes, we are. We bought into a company that operates the largest e-commerce business in Turkey.
Are you in Saudi Arabia?
In a way, yes.
Are you? No, keep going. Sit down. Are you in UAE?
Yeah, we're also there.
Very good, because of AFF. No, you said that. You said that. Katia, please. Because in the last 24 hours, due to AFF, I had delegations from Turkey, from Saudi Arabia, and Abu Dhabi, all in my office, wanting to do more business with Hong Kong and the mainland of China. I should have told them to go look for Joe, but except that Joe is already in all those places. So congratulations.
No, I should be looking for them to seek more opportunities from them.
Okay, those of you who were in my office yesterday, look up Joe after this meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Ruth Shapiro, Nirvana Chowdhury, Kun, Katia, welcome. Let's have a round of applause first for Joe.
Thank you very much, Ronnie. Well, I was going to start with introductions, but you already took those lines. So I'm going to go ahead. The only person that he didn't introduce is himself. So let me just introduce Ronnie Chan, although he needs really no introduction in Hong Kong. But not only is he the former chairman of Hong Long Properties, but he's the chairman of the Center for Asian Philanthropy and Society. So my chairman, and the chairman of many other worthwhile nonprofit organizations in Hong Kong, in China, and around the world. So thank you very much to AFF for including us, and thank you all for staying. I think this might be the last or the second to last session in a 2-day conference. So thank you all for staying through to hear our session.
It's because of the panelists, including Joe.
No, it's Kunkatia.
True.
So why do we have Joe Tsai, Nirvana Chaudhary from Nepal, and Kunkatia from K-Bank in Thailand? Because in all of 3 of their companies are doing something that is really interesting, and I think happening throughout Asia, and something that I find particularly inspirational, which is big companies helping to support startups and small companies. This is a real important role because big companies have so much wherewithal that they can really support the ecosystem and to help startups, both social enterprise and regular startups, take hold and grow. So having said that, I just want each of these business leaders to share what they're doing in that regard. So let me just start with Nirvana. Nirvana, the CG Group has essentially 2 different strategies to help small businesses. Can you explain what they are and give some examples of the small businesses you help?
Sure. Thank you so much, Ruth. It's such a pleasure to be among such elite and well-known people in this panel, especially to talk about empowering and helping the next generation, the youth, the small businesses. I think it's from our perspective, Ruth, it's 3. Number 1, I'm a firm believer that philanthropy or even corporate social responsibility has multiple profound impact if you are able to leverage the ecosystem, the infrastructure, the network, the people that are already working in your company, and are able to lend hand or use it to the leverage of doing something good. So one is leveraging the current ecosystem you have. For example, when Professor Yunus Mohammed came up with the social business concept, we tweaked it a little bit in our context, and instead of us using our businesses to come up with different products and address a particular problem, we wanted to create social entrepreneurs in Nepal. Nepal's a the youth and the people of Nepal are very resilient, very enterprising. So we went to the most difficult part of Nepal, where the average life expectancy was 36, a place called Jumla.
36?
At that time. And we trained about 15, 20 social entrepreneurs. In parallel with PwC, we created the School of Social Entrepreneurship. So that was a continuous training for youth all across, new businesses, the new startups all across the country, tying up with various university colleges and training them. So we started the program with the training bit and our intervention of having our business CEOs and our supply chain head and our manufacturing head. So I just want to take one example. There was one young entrepreneur who wanted to address the nutrition issue by coming up with a porridge factory, a fortified porridge factory. Now, because we are a company that is into FMCG, we could immediately use our R&D facilities to come up the formulation for the porridge as well as for cookies. For us, it was,
That's what I need, nutritious cookies.
Right.
You have them.
Right.
Okay.
It was so easy for us to create it immediately by leveraging what we already had, the supply chain, the distribution, etc. And we have microfinance banks. So we could put everything together and provide the initial equity. But more important for the social entrepreneur was the kind of mentorship and the guidance he was getting from our FMCG CEOs. The sustainable business plan that we helped to create. The second approach we took was, there are a lot of businesses in Nepal which are producing goods that day-to-day people wear. So, there's a glass company designed by Nepalese youth using
Eyeglasses.
eyeglasses. So for every 8 glasses that are sold, they do 1 eye cataract operation free. The business model, we came in, tweaked the business model, tied up with the eye surgery camp, used our entire retail network to help get their products everywhere, used our e-commerce platform to get it, but it was them essentially running it. So again, one model leveraging the ecosystem of our group that we had, which is a very diversified range of business. Second is believing in a particular new SME and helping them grow. And the third one is actual ongoing training for these SMEs and creating an ecosystem within them to leverage and collaborate and connect and do businesses.
In fact, those eyeglasses are called what?
It's called Anthropos.
Anthropos. And is it on the Taobao website?
Not yet.
Not yet. Maybe we'll solve for that today.
I don't know. Someone might have already bought some of your glasses and try to distribute it on Taobao without your knowledge.
We need to check. Just for your information, the Chaudhry Group is based in Nepal. It works in 40 countries around the world, but it is the biggest conglomerate in Nepal. So you're involved in many, many different lines of business. Let me go to Kunkatia. So let me just, before I ask her a question, Ronnie said that she's the CEO of K-Bank, and that's true. So she obviously is a woman CEO of K-Bank and the first female CEO of K-Bank, and that's an extraordinary accomplishment. So I just want to give her a round of applause for being such a person who breaks glass ceilings for a living. K-Bank is a really great one. You know, when you go to Thailand, it was originally the Thai Farmers Bank, so its logo is a sprouting plant. So it's a very nice. You may have changed the name, but the logo stays the same because it's so wonderful. Okay, so Kunkatia, K-Bank decided that you needed to help your small business customers stay afloat and thrive and prosper. Can you give an example of how you've done that?
Thank you. In Thailand, in terms of number of the SME, is 99% SME as a company, and is 35% contribution to the country GDP. So it's very important. And K-Bank is a major lender to this SME. We have a market share around 22% lending to this.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but
22% to small businesses.
Yes, to small business. I mean the 100% lending to SME, we contribute like 22% comparing to other banks.
Right.
So, considering the size of impact to the country, so it's definitely the segment that we have to, grow them and help them. So, however, there's a limited resource like money, and also we help them with the technology that we have, and also like Navarnath mentioned, the mentoring, the talent that we put in. So we have to be prioritized and allocate our money and our staff to the strategic sector where which can drive the Thailand economic growth. Well, what we select is the tourism, which contribute like 14 to 15% of GDP is a tourism. And then the sustainability, two things, environmental and also the financial inclusion. So let me talk about the tourism first. We have the social enterprise called Thak Thai. Thak Thai is like, you tag Thai. Our Thak Thai is hello in Thailand. So it's the social enterprise that is a quasi-official tourism platform, and it's a almost one-stop service there because they have a tax refund and also the digital payment inside. Also, they design My Trip, which using AI. So when you download the tactile apps, then you download the preference. Then we will use the AI to help you design the trip.
So if you want to go to Thailand, you download the tactile app, and it gives you essentially, it's a one-stop shop for
Yes.
helping to plan your Thai trip.
Yes, and
Okay.
the spa.
I just want to ask the audience, will everyone in this audience now commit to the next time you go to Thailand, you will use Thai and download the app? Raise your hand. Oh, come on. All right. I think we got about just now 200 new customers. Okay.
Thank you. So, then there's a place you can design like a distinguished trip, for example, spa, golf, dining, or, tourist attraction. And one of the most important features that no tourism platform in Thailand have is the SOS. SOS is a button that, when you have trouble, car accident, you get injury or whatever, you can press this button and the tourist police will call you through this app. So, no matter what, you should download this.
So, Khun Katia, does this investment in this social enterprise, is it a profitable investment, or is it your CSR, or is it a combination of both?
This one is a social enterprise that have an intention to make profit, but there's no, when they make profit, they have no intention to give it back to the one who contribute,
right.
But want to reinvest back to the tourism ecosystem to make the tourist experience much better and better.
Right, that's terrific. That's what a social enterprise.
One more thing is because private sector as K-Bank, we cannot do it alone. We cannot make it alone. We have to work with all the ecosystem. So the Thai Chamber of Commerce help us in terms of reaching out to the SME all over the country. So they kind of certify any SME customer in this platform is the one who capable of deliver a good service and product.
Oh, okay. So this social enterprise provides information on other social enterprises that can help you with your trip.
Yes. And so it's meaning that all the SME product all over the country be able to be visible, to be seen by the inbound tourists here. So the primary objective is for the inbound tourists first, and then later on to Thai people, because the trip experience, they require different kind of things. So helping the SME all over the country be able to, sales to all the hotel, the boutique hotel.
Well, to the 200 people that just raised their hand, I think.
Yeah. So please download that. So it's one of the example that we not only put the funding, but the technology from our KBTG group, the IT group, our KBTG group, and also our SME team, the mentor and the full team, help them to grow.
So I think that it's really important to note is that you're both Nirvana and Khun Katia are talking about not just financial support, but technical support as well. And I think that the Alibaba Entrepreneurs Fund also provides both of those kinds of support. Is that right, Joe?
Yeah, that's right. But I want to echo what Katia just said about the distinction between a nonprofit and a not-for-profit.
Right.
Nonprofits just spend money, and then they run out of money, so they have to raise money from their donors. So they're constantly out there raising money.
Believe me, I know. I run one.
So that is not profit. But not-for-profit means the company still needs to have a goal of making profits, except that the profits don't belong to the original capital providers of the enterprise, that you reinvest the profits toward the mission that you're trying to promote.
Right.
So So that's a very, very important distinction.
And those are sometimes called social businesses or social enterprises as well.
Social enterprise, I guess, when you say that, the profits don't go back to the capital providers, right? That's how you, because I was trying to understand what exactly is a social enterprise, right?
Right.
So the Alibaba Entrepreneur Fund is a social enterprise in that sense, because when we set it up, I believe it was something like 8 years ago, 8 to 10 years ago, our idea was that we're going to invest money in entrepreneurs in Hong Kong. We started it in Hong Kong and Taiwan, so to support entrepreneurs in Hong Kong and Taiwan. The goal is still to make financial investments so that you can make a return on your investment and not throw the money away.
Right.
But when the money comes back, we reinvest. So the capital will never, the profits and capital will never go back to Alibaba Group. So we basically set up a closed loop entity that it can sustain itself. Obviously, it's actually not that easy to create sustainability. Sometimes you make investments and you lose money too.
Right.
But in the case of our Hong Kong Entrepreneur Fund, the mission is to support those that are from Hong Kong or have an association with Hong Kong. For example, they live here or work here, or have a significant business operation in Hong Kong. Mm-hmm. So those are the startups that we would support. And we've been running it for the last 8 to 10 years. It's actually been very successful.
What triggered the creation of the Alibaba Entrepreneurs Fund?
Yeah, going back to thinking about what triggers all social enterprises. Mm-hmm. The people that start social enterprises think about problems first, a large-scale societal problem, and then they need to have a special solution to solve it rather than just a for-profit entity, right? And so in the case of Hong Kong, we felt that there was not enough entrepreneurial activity or entrepreneurial spirit. And that's because I think traditionally in Hong Kong, if you're a good student in, you went to the top university in Hong Kong, you would graduate and your parents will encourage you to become a doctor or a lawyer or accountant.
Like you did?
Like I did. I became a lawyer, right? To go into a profession, that's because parents think that those professions can provide stable income.
Right.
So not a lot of young people are willing to take risks. And so hence we created the fund to provide risk capital and also to promote the idea of risk taking. And for people that are maybe not exactly suitable to be doctors and lawyers, but they have a lot of innovation and they're smart and they have motivation. That was why the fund was set up. And so it's been a very successful thing. We backed some of the really quite successful companies that have come out of Hong Kong.
Right. And that must resonate.
I thought that fund was for mainland China, but it's for Hong Kong primarily.
It's called the Hong Kong Entrepreneurs Fund.
Wow. Thank you.
You have a new idea, Ronnie?
I'll tell Joe afterwards.
Okay. Nirvana, what Joe said must really resonate with you because you've got, South Asia doesn't have as aging of a population as East Asia. There's a lot of young people. They prefer not to go and do construction elsewhere. They want to stay home and start new businesses. So what's your reaction to what Joe just said?
No, I completely echo what Joe says. Just to add on to the impact of, if I have to quantify it, just our School of Social Entrepreneurship in the last 2 years has 600 startups, new businesses, entrepreneurs have graduated from that program. 42 new businesses have been created from that program, and 1,800 new people have got jobs from that program. And because we've involved our bank in that program, our group in the program, which is very well diversified. 9 out of 10 businesses that the entrepreneurs are in, we are in. So we are able to help our infrastructure scale them up, and the business just becomes viable. But also, the social business that we're talking about. Nepal is a country where we've got 3,000 youths leaving the country every day, and
go do work elsewhere.
Right, migrant laborers. There's a de-aging population in a lot of other parts of the world, so they're inviting a lot of people from our part of the world. So,
well, here you go into a restaurant, it's almost all Nepalese.
Right. So I mean, almost 28-30% of our economy is being sustained because of the remittance that comes in. But I think there's a lot that can be done. I mean, I was talking to Joe and hearing his Alibaba Entrepreneurship Fund. There's so much we need to learn a lot, and we can do much more in our own country in terms of social enterprise, social business.
Great. Ronnie, you are a mentor to Next Gen, a whole group of Next Gen in China. What kind of skills are they looking for primarily when you work with them?
Can I, Ruth, on behalf of all of us, first thank Kun Kantia. Kun Kantia thought that being one of the last sessions of AFF, there will be maybe 50 to 100 people here. And so she brought a few dozens of that bag, cacti, to be given to every one of you. What she didn't know is that there's going to be almost 1,000 people here. So how are we going to divide the 50 bags in 1,000?
Right.
So I took Ruth and I took the freedom to suggest that tonight, since Katia will not be able to join my dinner at home for the panelists, as well as many leaders of the world and leader of Hong Kong, that she would give to my guests tonight at dinner. And so, ladies and gentlemen, you won't get it, but nonetheless, you got the right. So when you go there, just on your phone, tap right in Thai, okay? So that will be your gift. Nothing material, but you will benefit from that. Sorry, Ruth, to answer your question. To me, one of the most valuable things to give is not just money. Obviously, all the entrepreneurs should, in my opinion, do their best to use their financial resources for the good of society. These are exemplary in this regard. But I think another thing that is really most precious is really the experience that we as business leaders have gained over the years. And we have made a lot of mistakes. The cheapest way to make mistakes is to learn from others so that you don't make those mistakes. That's the cheapest way. And so if the world were to become a better place, if other people, younger generation, will be able to succeed, I think it's important that they learn from the more or less successful business people such as myself and many others. So for long years, I have devoted a lot of my time, even when I was the chair of恒隆. I'm no longer, I'm the honorary chair now. Even in those years, I devoted a lot of time. And now that I'm retired, I'm able to even devote more time. And I think that if you are willing to listen to the young people, before you dispense any wisdom, it is important that you first listen and get what they are saying, what is their real worry, and then adapt your experiences to their situation. I think that's one of the biggest value that we can bring to the next generation. I'm very happy that last week, one of my former students at Zhejiang University, who received a PhD in economics from Stanford, now an assistant professor at Toronto University, flew all the way to Hong Kong to spend 2 days with me to seek my advice on career development. So if you devote time to them, they will see the value. Tonight, I'm hosting dinner for the likes of Chris Hoy, our Secretary for Financial Services, Joe Tsai, Nirvana, Jose Barroso, the former president of the European Commission, Jin Liqun, the chairman of AIIB, and so forth. And I invited one of those students of mine who lived in Hong Kong from Zhejiang University, who received a PhD from NYU. So to give them the access to really smart, successful people on earth in order for them to learn from, I think is one of the things that we can do. What are they looking for? Your question? They're looking for everything. If they know that you care for them, they would seek advice from you, and they will learn a lot tonight, I bet you, from Joe, from Novena, from yourself, and many others.
Joe said that the most important thing for a corporate leader is to find his or her successor who should be smarter and more talented than he or she is. And I'm happy to say that Ronnie's successor is his son, Adriel, who is smarter and more talented than you are. I think you would agree.
You're not saying much.
Do you think about, in all three cases, is the work that your companies are doing, is it shared value? Are you making money? Or are you, I mean, even though you're not, are you losing money? I suppose, is it a loss center, a profit center, or you're breaking even? You said you're breaking even with the Alibaba Entrepreneurs Fund. Is that a way to
more than breaking even? We're profitable. We're making a return on our capital.
Okay.
It's just that we are reinvesting that return back to the same purpose. So that's what we're doing. But as I said in the earlier session, when you look at Alibaba as a whole, we are a social enterprise because we touch upon a vast number of people and businesses, and most of them are small businesses. So our core business of e-commerce, there's tens of millions of companies that are actually small companies doing business on our platform, and they're all profitable, and we take a share of that economics that's being created.
Right.
So I kind of view our entire business as a social enterprise.
Right. I think the term shared value was coined by Michael Porter and Mark Kramer, I don't know, probably a dozen years ago. But when I think about companies in Asia, that notion of creating win-win solutions, I think it's in the DNA of the companies here, even before that term was coined. Because people always want to give back to their hometown, be invested in their communities, find those win-win solutions. Kunkatia, I love the story of how, you know, when anybody goes to Thailand, they have the little tuk-tuks, the little the pedicabs that you take around. Many of those are your customers. So how do you help them?
Actually in Thailand we have the environmental issue, the pollution.
Yeah, it's not limited to Thailand actually.
And mostly contribute from cars and tuk-tuk and also the motorcycle. So we when just want to add on if the customer not survive, we not survive because we are financial enabler.
Right.
So if they try, we try with them also. So that's how, even though it's not the direct profit, to what we have been helping them, but indirectly we get something. So going back to that tuk-tuk and the motorcycle, so we try in Thailand, we try to have the electric tuk-tuk and electric motorcycle, but we see very small. The issue is that we don't have the battery charging station or battery swap station. So as for that, K-Bank, as we fill the gap by set up the 120 station battery swap and also the EV bike, rental using our own technology platform so they can reserve and pay the fee, to the customers, to the bike or the battery owners. And what we do is the big brand of the motorcycle, they have their own. But what we have is the small Thai SME who produce the motorcycle, their own. And the second tier, affordable price. So we help our own customers and also make it, the motorcycle affordable price to the rider, the one who do the food delivery, for example, like Grab Food Panda, Line Man, or whatever. So, make all that happen by filling the ecosystem where the gap is, there.
Yeah. When I first heard this, I was so impressed because it's not intuitive that a bank would get into the charging station business, but you did because you saw that need and you wanted to help your customers.
Yes, and since we have branches, all over Bangkok and vicinity, so I use that, because where the branches is where the foot traffic is there. So we just set up, very small battery swap station or, the EV bike rental. That's all we do, but just fill the gap.
And one of the themes that both Joe and Nirvana have been talking about is young people taking risks by starting small businesses. Is that something, because you just gave this extraordinary number of small businesses there are in Thailand. And of course, small businesses account for the majority of businesses in each economy, usually, unless it's dominated by one product. But is it young people that are getting into and starting small businesses?
Yes. And all the startup and fintechs, they're all very young. And a few of them are my mentee also. So yeah, just very young, and they have a very good idea, but have no financial resources, that is fair price, and with the good quality that they can access to. So this is like another financial inclusion that we provide to the young SME.
That's terrific. Okay, I just want to we only have a few minutes left. So words of encouragement or inspiration or wisdom for anyone. This is the people here, and this is being recorded later. So what is the words for somebody who's thinking about jumping in and starting a small business? What do you need to keep in mind? Nirvana?
I think firstly, apart from having the right idea, having the right people, having that frugal mindset is very, very important. Today we hear about the big successes of Alibaba and everyone, but it's probably 1 in a million which has been there. They're the remaining 99% which is not really performed. So having that frugality in your mindset, I think would be my number one suggestion.
Is that similar to a pragmatic mindset, or when you say frugality, start small? Is that
starting small, since it's a startup, but even having a mindset that you've got to make the best use of that every dollar that goes in.
Right.
You need to be planning your resources really, really well. And right at the beginning, if you have that mindset, then I think you lead to a much more sustainable growth rather than fast or slow.
Great. Joe, what are your words of wisdom?
I would encourage all young entrepreneurs to think about very clearly when you start something, what problem are you trying to solve?
Right.
You may develop various different solutions to solve that problem, but the definition of the problem and also the scale of that problem is very important, because once you solve the problem of large scale, you can create a lot of value. So that's something that everybody should always bear in mind is what is the problem I'm trying to solve?
It's very profound, because a lot of times people come to me and they say, I have this great idea, and they tell me, and I say, what problem are you trying to solve other than keeping yourself busy? Which is not enough of a reason to get into the business. Okay, Kunkatia.
Almost the same as Joe, but it's like before you going to the first step, you have to have a 0.5 step first. You have to think, start with why. Why are you doing it? And plan, in real life, it will change anyway, but let's plan enough so you make a big bet, but not bet the whole thing of what you have. So yeah, start with why, and then you will, and that why has to be bigger than yourself. The objective has to be bigger than what you want, but perhaps the company or the country.
Yeah,
what you want to say.
That's terrific. You start with the why, then the how works out. Ronnie, thoughts on this?
Why do young people want to start any business? It's to make money. Because money will make you happy, supposedly. But as someone who grew up in a wealthy family, lived my whole life basically among successful business people, I find that many of the business people who are successful are not that happy. They forgot why the heck did they get into business to start with. It's to make you happy.
But maybe they're getting into it to solve a problem.
They ended up being unhappy. So let me tell you a very, very short story. Many of you know that I, once upon a time, was the global chair of Asia Society in New York City. I still chair the Asia Society in Hong Kong. Our founder is the original Rockefeller. When he was young and had very little money, he got his first paycheck. You know what he did? What did he do? This is in the late 19th century. What did he do with his paycheck besides paying rent and food and for his family? He separated some amount and gave it to China. He gave, if I remember correctly, gave it to some orphanage in China. So he was giving before he made the big dollars, when he was just getting a small check. And so I think that don't forget why you want to get into business. It's not just to make money. Make money is just the process, which is fun in itself. I agree, it's really fun. I enjoyed it for the last 40 years. But ultimately, to make money is to make you happy. So make sure that you stay happy. And how do you stay happy? If you just look at your own navel, look at yourself, you will not be that happy. So think about giving back to society, even from the beginning, like Mr. Rockefeller did. I think that you would end up being a lot happier that way. Obviously, when you're building a business, you are very busy. You have no time to consider giving back to society. That's fine. But just don't forget the original purpose of your getting into business. So while you are struggling to make money, as much as you can, give back to society, help other people. At the end of the day, you will be a happier person, hopefully making a lot of money on the way.
And I think that these three companies, Alibaba, Chaudhry Group, and K-Bank, all have the notion of giving back really in the DNA of the company. And I think Alibaba gives, helps all your employees take time to do volunteer work, etc., because it's part of, and in Nepal, you can't help but give back because the country needs everybody, all hands on deck all the time, right? K-Bank same. So I really want to applaud these four leaders for being inspirational, for showing us that you can do good and do well, and giving us specific examples about how it's done. So please join me in thanking our speakers.
And thank you very much, Dr. Shapiro, for hosting that panel, and to all our speakers. Could I invite you to the front of the stage, please, to take a group photo?